All right, to review where we've been. Now, last week we talked about bringing it all together, and we did part one of bringing it all together. And so what I'm going to review for quite a few sessions is our first 6 steps of sales track, which is your starting point, with whom do I start, your 15-second commercial, your use of qualifiers and tie-downs, your personal and borrowed story. You can build a good personal and borrowed story either by watching the videos, doing your self-training, talking to other agents, running analysis, or by purchasing the Worth account for yourself. If you do not have debt, you do not need the program. If you have debt and you're selling this program, you should be purchasing the program as well. So, lesson number 5 is the litmus test. Number 6 is setting the appointment in stone, and that appointment can be referring to a corporate or a field closer or running your own analysis. Get used to how to run an analysis. This is an integral part of your business. This is something you should be practicing regularly. You should be using what I call the passive recruiting method. If you've run out of people to talk to or you're finding it hard, call the people you know real well. Tell them that you're looking into this business. You need to learn the system, and you would like to practice on them. Would they mind giving you a hand? And what I have found is most people want to help. So in review, you need to follow the process. Just as with any presentation of materials, concepts, or products, there are individual steps which must be observed in the process. Now, you've got the first 6 lessons of sales track, and that outlines about 15 to 20 minutes of conversation. That is basically your introduction, your first impression that you're going to give a client. The basic components that go into the whole process are your introduction. Those are your first 6 steps of sales track. Your body, your information gathering, your rapport building, your summary and results. That's after an analysis has been run. And your closing, or the closing of the deal. These are your basic components from beginning to end. So in the introduction, the main objective of the introduction of the approach is to capture and entice a willing and qualified prospect to set an appointment. You notice that I've italicized willing. We don't want to bend arms here. We don't want to convince people this is the right thing for them. We do want to sell. We do want to present the information. We do want to answer objections. We do want the client to have a clear understanding. But we want the client to understand well enough that they will move forward on their own. For the client to move forward, for them to be willing and wanting to move forward, they must feel the passion, they must realize the dream, and understand the value of what the product is. Now, with the videos that we have in place, the presentations you have in your back office, the availability of a demo account as well as a recorded demonstration of the product, everything that you have is geared towards helping that client feel the passion, realize the dream, and understand the value. But again, none of this takes place unless you all get out there and you speak to people individually, you set up appointments and start showing the materials. You need to have your priorities in line. We've talked about this over and over again. Darlene's big on this. Joan's big on this. Every leader in the field that's ever made sales is big on this, is that your priorities should be the prospects. You should be relevant with your prospect. You should be listening for what are their desires, their dreams, their goals. And that is what you should be making the priority, is fulfilling their desires, dreams, and goals. We've talked about some of the different talk track that we have with introducing the product, with qualifying questions and tie-downs. And the thing that Jonah and Darlene and the leaders continue to hound is that your presentation must be relevant to your client. So if you listen to their desires, their dreams, their goals, what's holding them up, where are they stuck right now, this will give you all of the ammunition you need to tailor your presentation, to tailor your introduction towards their desires, dreams, and their goals. It's important, and I've built a career off of this, and I've really tried to make this a front face of the company and for the independent agents in the field, and that's be a servant to your clients. Have the mindset of a servant. Give people what they need. Not what you think's right for them, not what you think is relevant for them, but what they have told you they need, what they say is relevant. And by doing this, you will get back more than you could ever hope for. This is just an absolute reality that I've seen in business. Those of you that have done business with me on a personal level, on an agent level, whatever that looks like, know that I position myself to be a servant of the field, to be a servant of the clients. I am here to serve your needs as agents in the field. You are there to serve the needs of the individual clients. Do your back stories, do your back checks, do your research well on your clients, be an active listener with your client, and find out what it is that is truly relevant to them so you can be a servant to them. It's also important for you to use your time wisely. I see a lot of agents that get a hold of a client. They think they're going to be the big hitter. They bring them on as an agent. The agent does nothing. They talk to a client. They spend 4, 5, 6 meetings with the client only to find out in the very beginning the client wasn't that interested. The client just really wanted to show them something. So do remember that not all prospects are a sale. Strengthen your percentages and qualify your prospects. When you're qualifying your prospects, you're not qualifying them for their credit worthiness. You're not qualifying them for, how much money do they have. You're not running a credit check. What you're qualifying them for is, do they have a true desire? Is it rooted inside them? Is it a passion? Is it a goal? Is it a priority for them to take control of their finances and to get out of debt? That's what that introduction is all about. Those first six steps is trying to find out what is the most important to the client, what is the most relevant to the client, and then tailoring your information to that and qualifying that the prospect is willing to do what it takes to use a program that they have to update in order to get out of debt. Invest in your prospects beyond the point of the sale, beyond what you can take for them. Concentrate on what will ultimately benefit them, and I will promise you, if you do that, it will benefit you. So I'm going to go to the phone here real quick, and I'm going to grab Joan here, Dr. Joan. And Dr. Joan, are you there where you can speak?
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. So always great to have you on the call. I love having you there. I'm going to go to Darlene right after you. And just in about 1-2 minutes, because we still have the lesson for today, out of everything I just went over as a review for that introduction, being a servant to the client, using your time, what jumps out at you? What would you want to say to the field?
Well, I think you summed it up well when you just said simply, listen to your clients. Those 4 words I think are the most critical that I've heard the entire night. Simply listen to them. All 6 steps of the sales track tie together. They feed each other, but they don't have to be done in the exact order. You do need to follow them. You do need to incorporate all of them. And when you do that, that client is going to tell you, or that prospect is going to tell you exactly what they need to hear to move forward. So have that conversation. Focus on the client. Focus on what's important to them. When you are talking about qualifying questions, when you're asking lots of questions, listen to what they have to say. Those questions and how they answer what they say are going to tell you what stories to tell. They're going to tell you what they need to hear to move forward. Remember, stories evoke emotion. People buy an emotion, they back it up with logic, and those stories are what's going to evoke that emotion to help them move forward. So listen to what they say, then tell them relevant stories. Use the litmus test to your advantage. When you're saying on a scale of 1 to 5, where's your desire to, input what they said was important to them so that they can really identify whether it's or not it's a good fit for them. But really, you just need to listen and remember that not everybody will be interested in what we have to show them. Not everybody is interested in getting out of debt. Some people are simply in love with their debt. It's an abusive relationship. They have no desire to get out of that abusive relationship. And nothing you say, I say, Max says, Darlene says, nothing anybody says is going to help them get out of that abusive relationship. Those are not your prospects. Those are not the people that we are targeting with Worth Unlimited. So find the people that are interested in getting out of debt, people that have done something in the past. Those are your target markets. And then listen to what they have to say and help them move forward so they can accomplish their goals.
All right, awesome. I think that is, I think that's very good information. And Joan, I always appreciate you being on the call, and I always appreciate your input. Let me jump over to Darlene real quick. Hello, Miss Darlene. Are you there?
Good evening. I am. How are you doing?
I am doing wonderfully. So with everything that you heard there in that opening, what was ringing out to you listening to me and then listening to Joan? What would be your couple-minute summation?
Well, I mean, everyone needs to take what fits them. The information, you're going to give a lot of information. You'll hear from Joan or any of the leaders. You'll hear all the information that you present each week. Each person that takes this information, if you take every single word, you'll just have so much information, you won't know what to do with it. You have to see what fits your style. Take the nuggets that are given to you, and that word is used a lot because it means a lot. Take those gems that are out there that fit your patterns. It's important, especially, to listen to what someone else wants, as Joan has gone over very nicely. But I also want you to consider this. Truth about success has to do with what you do with the information. Having the information and not using it is a waste because, being a silent agent isn't going to get you helping the clients out there or helping yourself. So consider what you have in your hands and offer it to another. Share that information. Keeping that knowledge, hoarding the knowledge of what you pick up on these Monday calls or any other training that comes in by you. Just hoarding the information is not going to get you or anyone else anywhere. So when I look at what you talk about each week, Matt, and what is presented in our back office for our tools, listening to Joan and other leaders, I think about success, that the hard work that goes into being successful. If you think of it as a goal that you have in place, think about an iceberg. The little bit you may see on top that may be a success, the information and the work and the risk that goes in there. When I say risk, I mean, everything's a risk. You have to talk to somebody and they may or may not want to hear what you have to say. It doesn't mean you stop. You keep on going. Think about the work that you have to put into it. You're going to have some failures. You're going to have some people that don't want to hear, but you're also going to have successes as long as you proceed and be persistent in what you're doing. Guys, it's going to take the discipline, the struggle, and everything else to get that message out there. The bottom line, though, is that you have to do something. You have to do something in order to reach the goal and pass the message on to somebody else. So take the information that you hear, that you read, that you use the tools that are available to us. That video, Mac, is fantastic. I am going back to people I haven't spoken to in a while and say, hey, check out our new video. And then I'm following back up with them to see if they actually did that. That's how you're going to get people to see what you have in your hands to offer them and to stop being a secret agent. Keeping that knowledge for yourself doesn't help those out there that really are looking for you.
That's awesome. I think that's really good on both sides. So our two big takeaways just from the review are, number one is listen to your client. Joan said that's the most powerful 4 words that she's ever heard. And for Darlene, it takes action. It takes you getting out there. It takes you doing something. It takes you not being a secret agent. I actually love that term, not being a secret agent. So Darlene, as always, love having you on the calls. Love the information that you give us. And I'm going to jump back into the presentation, so thank you. All righty, let's keep going on from here. All right, so the update training, what we're going to be doing today is I wanted to talk today about part 2 of your process that you go through, and this is your body and your information gathering, you're building rapport. Now, this can be on your first appointment. This can be during your introduction. This actually should be being done throughout the entire process from the minute you address that client. From the minute you meet that client for the first time, you should be gathering information and trying to build rapport. Now, where this really comes to light is when you're sitting down, you're doing your analysis with the client there, you're really digging deep with the client, you're finding out what's going on with them financially. But in that introduction section, a portion of this is the body, and a large portion of your introduction, as Joan said, listen to your client, should be this information gathering and rapport building to make everything you do relevant. It is very important in this particular business, more so than any one I have ever worked in, that you establish yourself as a trusted advocate. This is not a one and done. This is not meet them and greet them and then it's a sold deal. A lot of times these deals take follow-up. I've seen agents follow up with clients for 2 months, 3 months. I've seen agents hear back from clients a year later. So do know this is a pipeline business. Your most important asset is your database, and your most important tool is your email and your phone. You need to be reaching out to people and contacting them. Assist the prospect in fulfilling their dreams and goals. The establishment of trust and our position as an advocate is imperative. If you come across that, hey, I just want to sell you this, I just want to get you out of debt, I don't see a lot of people having a lot of success with that. What I see the most success with is, tell me a little bit about your situation. Tell me what would improve your situation. What is it that you are looking to improve in your life right now? What does your finance look like? Are you happy with your finances? Would you like to be in a better position financially for retirement or currently? Use this opportunity to really find out who your client is and show them through your questioning, through your notes, through your secondary conversations that you have with them, that you are truly listening and you are truly invested in them to have success with this program, to have success with their lives, with their financial future. I have always been a big fan to say that we all want to be an expert. We all want to be an authority. We all want to know our business. But I've come to find out with this particular product, less is more. I have seen so many agents talk themselves out of deals because they're not relevant, or they talked over the client, or they're just interested in getting their pitch out. It is much more valuable in this industry to make a true friend, somebody that trusts you, and look out for their needs. Being an expert or an authority is good, but lasting relationships, being a trusted friend, is where this game really comes together. Don't limit your potential for success just by going out there and throwing stuff up on the wall and see what sticks. Have a plan. Follow your sales track. Follow your first 6 lessons. Use the videos that you have there and listen, listen, listen. And then on top of that, follow up, follow up, follow up with your clients. You can be a hunter, killer, or a gatherer. If you cannot build rapport and trust, first off, I don't think you're going to have a lot of success in this business. But that means you are relegated to every single day having to go out there and hunting and kill, having to find brand new prospects, brand new people to talk to. That can become very arduous. If you cultivate your relationships with individuals, if you cultivate good friends, if you cultivate the lasting relations, then your prospects turn into consumers that trust you. And people that trust you, if they buy the product, will refer other people. I think all too often agents are afraid to go back to their clients and do the simple legwork of saying, hey, you bought the product. Have you set up with customer support? Have you been set up on the product? Are you currently using the product? You as agents should be doing this follow-up with your client within 24 to 48 hours of selling the product. Your best way to have a client stay on this product is the minute you sell them, get them with support, get them set up on the program, let support do their end, and then follow up with them periodically to see how it's going, to see if they need to contact support again, to see if they need additional information or if they need additional assistance in utilizing the program. If you do this with your clients, I will assure you with clients, you can gather referrals for a lifetime. Be a good listener. Now, Joan already said this, but I don't think we can say it enough. It's more important to listen than it is to get your point across. Many times us just being so involved in getting our point across, we lose the deal. We lose what was really important to the client. We lose the crux of why they wanted to talk to us in the first place, or what was the deeper priority, what was the central goal, what was the real thing that was going on with them that made them consider listening to something about debt elimination. It's important with your clients that you pace yourself, you be patient, and above all, be kind. Do not be confrontational with your clients. If a client wishes to be confrontational with you, back up. Tell them that you really are not trying to be confrontational, whatever your methodology is. I'm not telling you that you should take a tongue lashing from a client, but what I am telling you is under no circumstances should you ever be rude to the client, even if they are rude to you. That can come down to saying, you know what, we're not getting anywhere and we need to end the conversation here before this gets out of hand. Know that you are in control of the sales process. Know that you have the tools backing you up to have the confidence to walk a client from point A to point B and take them through the process. The biggest thing you need to do is get them talking. Ask them to explain further, expand on what they just said. This all goes into that rapport building and that understanding and that listening and that information gathering from the client. If you repeat back to a client what they said and say, now I just want to make sure I'm clear on this, this is what I understand, can you tell me a little bit more about that? If you get a client in a position of talking to you, it's hard to get them to stop talking. And that is exactly where you want to be. You want to be in the presence of a client that feels comfortable enough to you to start talking to you about information that would be relevant or pertinent to moving the sale, moving the process forward. See, when we're dealing with a prospect and we're dealing with financial situations, you have to be aware this is very sensitive subject matter. It's just like talking about somebody's personal appearance, their weight, their health. These are all things that people take very, very personally. So be sensitive to the fact that even though we're not asking for what I would call truly sensitive financial information like Social Security numbers and birth dates and things of that nature, we are asking people to, pull down their walls, expose themselves a little bit, and allow themselves to be vulnerable. The best way to get a client to be vulnerable is to be vulnerable with them. If they don't trust you, they will clam up and tell you only what they want you to know. And you can tell with a client, with their posture, how they're addressing the issues with you, how they're talking to you. Now, I know this sounds like a very broad lesson, but I want to bring all of this together for you, that this is what we've been talking about for the last 8 weeks, is how to bring yourself into a position with this client that when you're speaking to them, you're in that introduction portion, you're in the body and information gathering portion of this, and that's why I wanted to do these two together with introduction and body and information gathering. You're really trying to learn about your client, and you're really trying to find out what is the most important thing, what is the thing that will make the difference for you. If you could get them talking on any subject, allow them the time to express themselves uninterrupted, the reality is that the walls will come crashing down. Then the prospect reveals what you really want to know. And what you really want to know is, how can I help you? How can I best serve you? What is going to help you in this situation the best. From that point, once you have already established that, go deeper for more personal information with your client. Ask them about personal situations. Get them to start revealing things that are of a deeper nature. Discontent with their current situation. This is always a great way to get the client speaking, is just to ask them, what if you could change anything right now, what would you change? If you could change anything financially right now, what would you change? If you could change any situation in your life right now, what would you change? What would be the highest priority? And as people start to relate this information, ask them about the weight and burden of their relationships, their finances, their job. And there's a way to do that without saying, so what kind of burdens do you have in your relationships? Craft your questions so they don't seem obtrusive to the client, but they also seem to the point, like you really care about what's going on in their life, that you truly want to get to the heart of the matter where they're concerned. Transformation is what we are truly talking about with our product, with the program. Get them to admit they want hope and relief. Get them to admit they want change. If you can take them through the process, if you could take them through as trusted, if you could take them through as someone they feel comfortable talking to, you can begin to ask questions like, okay, you told me this was the number one priority. Are you looking for some relief from that situation? If your debts are overwhelming, are you looking for relief? Do you know there is another way? Would you be willing to let me show you another way? Get them to reveal the deeper issues. You're in a perfect position to be a trusted advocate, to provide relief, be the one that transforms their life or situation from burden into hope. I don't know how many of you have had overwhelming financial obligations in your life, but there is nothing more strangling, there is nothing more enslaving than the feeling that I am just working every day just to pay off debt. Every dime I make is just going to service debt. I would like to enjoy my life. I would like to move forward. I just had a comment came in, said peeling the onion. And I think that's a great way to look at it. Your client, when you first meet them, they've got that tough skin of the onion, and what you're doing is just peeling one layer at a time away, and you're exposing that raw fruit. And that raw fruit is what you're trying to get to, is what is really on your mind, what would help you the most. Be upfront with your prospects. Look out for the needs of the prospect and their family first. Your needs are secondary. Don't be afraid to tell them this really isn't going to benefit you and your current situation. Don't feel like you have to move everybody into a specific box or situation that works. Some people this program just will not work for. They don't have any money. They're completely upside down. They're not currently employed. Don't try to pound the square peg into the round hole. Don't be afraid to tell them, if you've done an analysis, looked at their situation, that you know what, we ran the analysis, this is what we came up with, and I don't really see the benefit to you or your current situation. But make sure you ask them a secondary question. Do you know anybody that may be interested in this service? Every single client you speak to, you should be asking for a referral. Sometimes it's better to let it go, like having that small fish on the line. Even though you're hungry, there are more fish in the sea. You and the fish are better served by taking it off the hook for another day. If the client does not qualify, don't try to talk them into it. If it's not a great benefit to them, remember there must be a plus-plus benefit, a win-win for you and the client. Just let them know that it's not working for them today, but could we revisit this in 6 months? Could we revisit it in a year? Do you know any other people that could utilize this service? Look to the future. Just because they don't buy now, it does not mean they won't buy in the future. Stay in touch with your clients. Follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up. I know you all are getting tired of hearing this message over and over again, but I don't know any other way to get this across. These first 6 lessons of Sales Track, this idea of listening to your client, this idea of building rapport, this idea of becoming trusted by your client, is what is truly going to make the difference in your business. And make sure you're continually following up with your clients. The same prospects you let off the hook, the ones that you said to them, you know what, this really isn't going to work for you, are the ones that typically will trust you the most, the ones who will make thousands of dollars for you in referrals. People that buy the product can provide these referrals too, but you'd be amazed how many people I did analysis for that either their situation, they were well off enough financially, they could pay the home off, they didn't have that much debt, referred me to their sons, their daughters, their neighbors. And the reason they did that was because they trusted me and they trusted the process when I told them, look, thank you for going through this with me, but the reality is I don't really see the benefit of the program for you. Have integrity in everything you do. Let them see your true mettle. Let them see your true ethic. And let them realize and see your true value. Someone you don't force to close on today, may be a sale tomorrow, may be referrals for tomorrow, make a friend and make money. I don't know any other way to say it. I want you to really look at that screen in the context of being a servant to your client, doing what is ethically correct, doing what is right by your client every single time. In closing, I want to say this capacity to shape a vision of what can be achieved and to share the vision with others so that it becomes their own is one of the most important elements of leadership. And this is what we are truly doing with the product, is giving them the information, showing them the information, and then positioning this with questions and affirmations to the client that all of a sudden this becomes their idea, that it is an absolute priority, it is a must with the way the economy is, with the way the world is today, with the way their lives are, to get out of debt. This quote came from Professor David Pennington, Vice Chancellor, University of Melbourne. I want you all to really think about the training you've had this evening. I know many times people are like, well, you know, we want to see the replicated site and we want to see the back office, and all of the tools that you need are there. All of the tools are there for you to use, to practice with. You cannot break the system. Go in and do your self-training. Watch the videos you're sending out so you know what you're sending to your client. But above all, I really wanted this training tonight to be about understand your client. Be an information gatherer. Be a good listener. Be a trusted advocate. Be the individual that you would want to deal with if you were trying to purchase something, or if you were looking for advice, or if you were moving into advocacy with a client. If you have any questions, concerns, or comments, you can feel free to reach me at Stuart Mac Saunders, mac@worthunlimited.com. There's my phone number, or you can reach out to Worth Support at support@worthunlimited.com. I'm going to go to the phone. I'm going to go to Darlene first this time, see if she has any closing thoughts for us. Darlene, are you there? Any closing thoughts for the field?
I am here. Thanks for asking. You covered so much good information that people just take it in and kind of look at it again, read those notes over, and just know that we're giving people what they're asking for. We just have to listen to them. We have to listen to them and hear really what they want, not just what we want. What do we offer? And you are so right. Ask for the referral. Ask for that referral. There's nothing wrong with asking and letting people know that you're available to talk with anyone who's interested. And you know what, Mac, even if it's not for them, and even if they may like the program, but it's just not for them at this time, ask and call them back. Can I call you back in a couple of months? Can we look at this again? And then also say, if you know of anybody else, I would love to share this with. Always leave yourself open, just like you said, never burn that bridge, and gather the correct information through that conversation. Just have a conversation with them. You will find out so much useful information by listening to them, asking them questions, but have a real conversation, where it's not just a whole list, these are the things I have to ask. No, a conversation, all that stuff will come out. So it is the doing part. You have to be willing to do what it takes to get what you want. So a will-do attitude will make it if you wanted to. Will do, can do, and I believe that just by looking for the success in your life of what you want, take this year, make a plan, go for that plan, and that action, massive action, will give you massive results. So I think it was a great lesson today, Mac, and I appreciate your great work.
Thank you so much, Darlene. Always a pleasure to have you on the call. And you realize we're going on knowing each other for, a little over 10 years now.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I think it's been over 10 years. I think you're right.
Yeah, but we're moving past. Yep.
Because I started back in 2006, the end of
late 06, early 07. Yep. So I think we might even be moving into 11 years. But I've always valued you, Darlene. I love having you on the calls, and thank you for what you bring to the table.
Thank you, Matt.
Yes, ma'am. All right, let's go to Joan for the final word. Miss Joan, what would be your final words of the day?
Well, I'm hoping it's okay if I take a couple minutes to talk about rapport building for just a minute, if that's okay. But I really do want to. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that, because I'm going to kind of backpedal just a little bit. But first, I want to say James Coco once said, "When a man forgets himself, he usually does something everybody else remembers." When a man forgets himself, he usually does something everybody else remembers. The less you talk, the more somebody's going to remember you. The more intelligent you sound and appear, and the more comfortable your prospect feels, as silly as that is. But when a man forgets himself, he usually does something everybody else remembers. When you're talking to somebody, you truly need to listen to what they have to say. And that means don't listen to respond. Listen to hear what they truly have to say. That also means don't interrupt. I know I get super excited when I'm talking to somebody. I get super excited. I want to jump in. I want to chime in and say, "Oh, my goodness, I understand what you have to say," and add on to what they have to say. The challenge is that's because I want to say something more. I want to add more. That's not what this is about. It's not about me. It's not about I. It's not about you. It's all about your client. You have to listen to what they have to say. Now, the other side of it is your client's not going to really open up to you and tell you all that deep stuff about their finances unless they feel comfortable. You have to build rapport with them. So there's some subtle things that you can do to help build rapport in a short period of time. One of the most important things that you can do is eye contact. I know that sounds silly, but when you are having a conversation with somebody, the most important thing you can do is eye contact. When you're speaking, you should have 90% gazing with that person and 10% looking away. Yes, there's actually statistics on it. So 90% making contact with the person, 10% looking away. When the other person's talking, you should actually be focusing a lot more on them, about 95% of the way. Now, of course, you need to blink, you need to look away so it doesn't feel awkward, but your eye contact in general should be 90-10. You need to parrot back what they say to you so that they know that you've heard what they have to say. You show that you've heard what they have to say. When you're first meeting them, you have a firm handshake, not one of those lanky little weird half handshakes. You actually have a firm handshake. That shows that you are confident in yourself and that they can be comfortable in giving you information, that you have confidence in yourself, you know what you're talking about. You want to match and mirror what they have to say. Your tone should match their tone. The speed of your voice, or your cadence, the pressure of your voice should match them. If they are a very fast talker, you should also be a fairly fast talker as well. Now, you can't be something that you're not, but you do need to match and mirror as much as you can. The volume of your voice. When somebody's a loud talker, some people think that they're kind of being rude. Most people that are speaking fairly loud are actually deaf, or they're losing their hearing. So they actually need you to speak louder, and that is why they are louder in their volume. So if they are loud in their volume of their voice, you should be loud in your volume of your voice. Your choice of your language should mirror what they are doing and how they are speaking. Your breathing pattern, as silly as that sounds, when that person's talking or you're just communicating verbally, or I'm sorry, physically back and forth, watch their breathing pattern and match it. When their chest rises, your chest rises, and go back and forth. That sounds silly, but it's actually an unconscious way to build rapport with that person in a short period of time. Mannerisms and gestures, you should match them as well. If the person talks a lot with their hands, like I'm doing right now, not that you can see me, you should have those same kind of gestures. Obviously, you don't want to look like you're mocking the person. It needs to appear natural, but you should match and attempt to mirror mannerisms and gestures as much as you can. You want to ensure congruency between your message and your nonverbals. Now, that sounds strange. What does that mean? Well, if you're saying something in a positive way, like, wow, that's really great, I'm so glad to hear that, or whatever it may be, don't shake your head no. You should be shaking your head up and down in the yes form. There's so many times that our nonverbals don't match our verbal message that can create some incongruency. That can create some challenging on an unconscious and, quite frankly, a conscious level on the person with whom you're speaking. So you need to make sure that you're congruent with your verbals and your nonverbals. Your message needs to match how you're talking to that person. Remember, funny is money. Get people laughing, and their guard is going to come down. They're going to feel more comfortable talking to you. You're going to build rapport. And remember that people like them. People like people like them. So they need to feel like you are like them so that they can feel comfortable opening up to them. Now, that's how you should be, but what you should also do is watch how they are responding. Their nonverbals are absolutely critical. Even if you're on the phone, you can assess nonverbals. Did their speech pattern change? Did the pitch of their voice change? Was there suddenly a hesitation? Did their breathing pattern change? There's certain things that you can check and monitor even on the phone, but if you're face-to-face, the absolute most important thing that you should be watching on that person is something probably most people don't know. It's your feet. Your feet don't lie. If your feet are facing you, they're interested. If their feet actually turn and face the door, they want to get away. So watch their feet. As silly as that sounds, and how can you do that if you're doing 90% eye contact, 10% looking away? Well, you need to take a casual glance every now and then. But their feet don't lie, so keep an eye on their feet. If they're leaning in towards you, they're listening. They're very interested in what you have to say. If they suddenly lean back and they cross their arms, what you just said did not resonate well with them. You just created some form of objection or some form of resistance. So keep an eye on what they said and how they said what they said, but most importantly, what is their body language doing? If you have a couple in front of you and they start becoming affectionate with each other, they start touching their face or they start touching the other person's arm, that's a buying sign. That means that they're very interested in what you have to say. If you see the lips actually turning a little bit redder, their eyes start to be a little bit more focused, they actually start to get a little bit wider. Those are buying signs. So keep an eye on what they're saying and how they're saying what they're saying. Keep an eye on their verbals, on their nonverbals. Practice and watch what you're doing to build rapport so that they are comfortable opening up and telling you everything they have to say. So I probably went a little bit too deep with all that. Forgive me for that. I apologize. But if you want to really be able to listen to what they have to say, they have to be comfortable telling you what they have to say as well. Because remember, when a man forgets himself, he usually does something everybody else remembers. So you forget yourself. No offense to you, but you're irrelevant in this conversation with that prospect. Focus 100% on your prospect and listen to what they have to say. So thank you, Mac. I apologize if I went a little too deep on that.
No worries at all. You know that we're going to come back and do a lesson on personality types, and that's where we'll probably dig even deeper than that. I think your information was very pertinent. Here's what I want everybody to get out of this. People are people. I want you to think about the fact when you talk to a client, how would you want to be addressed? How would you want the process to go? Joan has given you a ton of information that is very pertinent. It'll be on the recording. It'll be posted to YouTube. It'll be under, you'll have to look up Worth Unlimited, and then you'll have to look up Bringing It All Together Part 2. Joan, as always, you've been around as long as Darlene, I believe, maybe a year less at the most. I always love your information. I love having you on the calls. I love the fact that both of you are so dedicated to this company, and that you all have been such an asset. So to Darlene and to you, Joan, I know you're not muted yet, Joan, I just want to say a big thank you. The field should say a huge thank you, because as we know, you two don't get paid to get on the calls and talk, but you have always been open with your information and sharing with the field, and that is so appreciated. And so I just want to say a big thank you to all of you.
Oh, thank you, Mac. And I hope you know how much we appreciate you as well. You are absolutely amazing. You give back so much to us, to me, to Darlene, to the field. You are just constantly focused 100% on helping us as agents and helping the field be successful. So thank you for all that you do.
All right, awesome. And with that having been said, everybody, I want to thank you so much for joining us on the call. Let's get out there and do something big. Let's get out there and do something right. But at the very least, let's get out there and do something big right now. This is Max Saunders saying bye-bye for now.